All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. I got news for you, pal. You ain't leading but two things right now. Jack and shit. Jack left town. Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
What was that ruckus?
What ruckus?
I was just in my office and I heard a ruckus.
Describe the ruckus, sir.
Does this mean we're not friends anymore? Not me. I'm in my prime.
You're out of your mind. Ain't it cool?
First you want to kill me, now you want to kick me. Blow. Good. Bad. I'm the guy with the gun.
What's up, everyone? DJ Anubis here with you on the Meltdown Radio podcast. You see, it's been a while, so I'm still getting back into the hang of things here. Doing another movie review for you. This time around Predator's Badlands. I just got out probably an hour ago from seeing this film. I had some reservations going in. Obviously, when it comes to the Predator franchise, it can be hit or miss. Thus far, I will say, up until today, it pretty much gone as Predator from 1987, Predator 2, and then Prey, which came out a year or two ago from Trachtenberg, who also directed this one. And the other ones like Predators or The Predator that came out through that over the last decade or so, they were okay, but not great. Like I didn't really like them as much as the first couple of films in the franchise. So I had reservations. Now, granted, I did see the Predator Killer of Killers, the animated version that came out earlier this year. And I think Trachtenberg did that one as well. But either way, the animation is great. It's fantastic. It's a lot of fun. It's like a anthology of different time periods when the Predator comes from down and to hunt and all that stuff. So that actually is very cool. And it sets itself up for a sequel down the road. Same with this one. This one will also have a sequel. But this was interesting about Badlands was my reservations going in is that like we were making the Predator a little bit too human in terms of like its mannerisms, its ability to communicate. But to clear the air a little bit, it kind of makes sense. One thing to give fairness to this film is that really we've never had a Predator film where it's actually explored the background of the Predator itself. And this film does that. It gives you a chance to kind of look behind all the other films, and like the Predator is usually the one hunting everything. Doesn't matter if it's creatures or humans. Now we have a chance to kind of see like how they operate as a clan or a tribe. And this story of this basically surrounds itself around a particular young predator named Deck. And I like this because I went into the film thinking it was going to be one thing, and it kind of turned out to be something different. And I actually enjoyed that it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Basically, the story is Deck is a young predator trying to prove himself to his clan run by his father. And he has an older brother, Quay. And the beginning shows us how Deck and Quay are actually battling one another. So Deck is trying to prove himself to his older brother to be able to be considered, what do they call it? A Yauja. And so I guess that's like a term they call themselves as hunters or predators. And so, but at the same time, the father considers Deck like a weakness, and he's like the runt of the litter, basically. And so, according to his father, Quay was supposed to kill Deck, like to just take him out, clean house, basically, and say, you know what, Deck isn't worthy enough to be with us. And so, you know, there comes a point when Daddy shows up and he tells Quay to finish him off. But what ends up happening, which is a highlight for me, is that Quay, despite being a very proud and great warrior for the Yauja, defies his father and helps Deck escape through a ship to go to a planet called, what was it, the Genna. And basically, it's like one of the worst planets you can go to as a hunter because there's just so many things there that can kill you, creature-wise. But Deck also witnesses his father killing his brother. And so this becomes a very important factor on how this predator and as well as like the clans and everything else basically coexist. They do coexist as like tribes and clans. However, throughout this movie, Deck learns that it's not so much about the similarities of your culture or who you're with, but how you are different and how you can adapt and learn and be like not really following a particular footstep. Something we saw a little bit like in Prey, like the young warrior there, the female warrior. She wasn't doing the contemporary stuff that, you know, female Native Americans would at the time. She wanted to be a hunter. And so she ends up confronting that predator in that film. Well, Deck, you know, his whole thing was he was supposed to go to this planet to kill this thing called the Kralisk. Kalisk. It's Kalisk. And so if he can bring back the head of this thing, he would probably be welcome into his dad's tribe. But of course, we already set up with the fact that Dad killed the older brother in order to try to save young Deck. So I like the fact that we're not really too worried about whether or not. I mean, early on, Deck is still like, I'm gonna kill the Kalisk and I'm gonna bring the head back to prove to my clan that I belong. But there's also that underlying feeling that I want to kill Dad. Like this is like a revenge almost. But while, of course, Deck is there, you know, he starts seeing like the creatures of this planet, which he's not very familiar with. And there's a lot of different things that come into play. So there you see the Kalisk above him, like, which is this big ass creature that we kind of learned can actually heal itself and reform. There's another cool thing with all the weapons. That's something I've always enjoyed about the Predator franchise, is how we get to see the many different weapons that over the course of the franchise itself, you see so many difference, like the bow. Don't see too much of the bow. We see a little bit in the beginning, a little bit, but most of it's like either sword play, or one thing that's really cool as well is how Deck adapts to the planet, like, you know, because he doesn't always have all his items. And so either he's picking them up from these androids, which I'll get to in a minute, or he's noticing certain things about little creatures or big creatures that he can use to his usefulness in terms of armor, or even just weapons themselves, the creatures themselves. So I like that, you know, they go with that aspect too, where he doesn't necessarily have to rely too much on his own technology. He's found other ways to adapt by using other things on the planet to actually become useful, which is great also because the story you would think is just about him facing the Kalisk, and it's not. And we find out through this android that at the start, she's cut in half, and her name is Thea, and so she's able to communicate with Deck because, of course, she's an android, and we also know that she's tied into Wayland. And for anyone who knows Wayland is a big name throughout the Predator and Alien franchise all over the place, like just in a total package of how Wayland's name comes up constantly, even in the new Alien TV show, Alien Earth. So we know that Wayland has a major impact, which, interestingly enough, this movie kind of ties into Alien Earth because Wayland in the Alien Earth series basically is collecting creatures to try to learn and use them as weapons. Wayland is a weapon technology type of company. So in this case, Thea is an android from Wayland, but she's been given the ability to feel and be sensitive. And even though the purpose of that was to kind of like be deceptive to the creatures that they were collecting, Thea didn't really know that. She was just kind of using it as a way to be more than her android self. So she has a twin sister. This is sort of like the Clone Wars from Star Wars. We see a bunch of androids that end up coming as men, like they all look the same. And the same case here with Thea and Tessa, who's the other android, the sister. And basically, Thea, though, is more heartfelt. So she is telling and helping Deck understand the planet, understand what can be trusted, what can't be, how to get through certain things and navigate the dangers, as well as lead him to the Kalisk. But we find out that Tessa, she was damaged as well. Both Thea and Tessa were damaged by the Kalisk before Deck even got there. But Tessa was being repaired by Wayland Corporation and basically told, like, you need to finish the mission. And if you don't, you'll be decommissioned. And so Tessa is like, even though it's a dual role from Ellie Fanning, who's marvelous in this, Tessa's a lot more dangerous. Like, she's there as almost like a soldier. She's very smart, obviously, but I won't spoil too much because even though it's been out a little while, I don't want to give everything away. But there is like this dual role by Ellie Fanning playing the roles of the androids. I'm trying to think of who plays Deck. Demetrius Schuster Montage. Don't know him, but I thought he did pretty well. Like, and that's the other thing about this too. Like, one of our concerns going in was, why does Deck doesn't look like a lot of the other Predators we've seen throughout the franchise? Well, a lot of that gets explained here, even if it's not spelled out. But if you're someone a fan of a franchise, you'll understand what's going on. And obviously, when you even from Deck to his brother Quay has a lot more armor, a lot more experience, and a lot more things going for him in terms of like cloaking ability, stuff like that, which Deck does not have yet. So there's a lot of stuff that Deck has to kind of earn if he's going to survive in his clan, which of course we know the father didn't want him anyway. But it's sort of like a hierarchy though, where as you are young, you earn basically your weaponry, you earn your cloaking ability, you earn your shoulder blaster. So everything is kind of like earned through your ability to hunt. So you start basically bare bones as a predator. So I like that they kind of explain that as well. And of course, we see the kind of call back a little bit with the inside the ship, the throne room where you have the skulls from different creatures. We don't see the xenomorph in there as we do in the second film from years ago. But you do see it. This is something that the predators do. They go from planet to planet hunting whatever they can. Even there's even a reference from Thea to Deck about how on Earth we have packs of wolves and there's an alpha wolf, and so Deck is very intrigued. He's like, "Oh, an alpha, so I need to hunt it." But she was trying to communicate more that the alpha wolf was more of a leader who looked out for the pack, which something that Deck starts to understand down the road, because in his travels he picks up his own like little monkey on the side. It's not really a monkey, but it is another little creature that acts almost like, the monkey from Godzilla and Kong. But again, like as the movie goes along, Deck starts to learn as he experiences how the planet reacts. So whether it's creatures, plants, or whatever, he's like, "Ooh, okay, so this thing does this," and and there's this cool moment towards the end of the film where he's using these things that he learned on the planet as a way to fight Wayland Corporation, which this film really is what it's about. The K-list was certainly an objective and does have a factor in the film, but it's more about Deck versus Wayland Corporation, which is cool, which I didn't expect. And so I do like this. I do like how it actually went around and like made it different than what I was fully expecting initially. It's just a young predator hunting creatures. Like, it's more than that. And for those that don't know, I am going to give you this tidbit because I thought it was the coolest thing when I saw it happening. There is a moment where Tessa is fighting Deck, and keep in mind, Lance Henriksen is not in this film, but however, if you followed both the franchise of Alien as well as Predator, especially the Alien versus Predator series, you know that Lance has been in there. He's been a staple of the both franchises for a long time. And so Tessa's fighting him. And so as she's battling Deck, and she's in the what do you call them, the thing that Ripley was in, like a machine to pick up, and was it a loader? Yeah, it's something similar to that, right? That's what she's in. Looks more like the thing from Avatar, but the loader she's fighting Deck, and she makes a comment, how does it feel to be hunted? And Deck goes, and of course in his own language, like, you tell me. And if anyone's ever followed Lance Henriksen at all, that whole like scenario quote is actually something from a movie called Hard Target with Jean-Claude Van Damme, called Hard Target. And so that's how basically Van Damme says to Henriksen's character in that film, he's like, how does it feel to be hunted? And of course, Henriksen replies, you tell me. So I thought that was kind of cool. Like, it was an indirect acknowledgement of Henriksen, who plays Wayland in the series. But he also plays, of course, the android from Alien. So again, I don't know. I wasn't expecting that, but I really loved that they did that. I thought that was cool as fuck. But yeah, I came out of this liking it way more than I thought I would. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb here and just say I like this more than Prey. And Prey was good. I don't have any problems with Prey. I thought they did a really good job with it. But what I do like about this with Badlands is that they just do a better job of explaining the Predator overall. And that's sort of the purpose. I mean, Prey didn't rely too much on backstory, but I didn't really like the look of the Predator in Prey either. Even though they were trying to go with this like, bare bones approach to kind of fit the theme of the Native Americans. So I'd have to do more research to kind of see how all these movies are supposed to place. Like, at what time period does all this take place? I need like a timeline to understand how everything falls in place. Obviously, Prey is one of the earlier moments in Predator history, which connects the little gun to the second movie. But how does this fit into the rest of that? Because again, one thing I've noticed is, which can be a problematic thing, but one thing I've noticed is that when you think of the first two films, the type of technology that the Predator has is actually quite advanced. But when we look at some of the weaponry that is in this film, it seems even more advanced. But one thing I've also learned about the films and how they portray the predators is they're all kind of unique. The predators, just like the alien xenomorphs, depending on what they're breeding through, each predator has their own identity, their own way of kind of like using whatever weapons. Like we don't even see the netting weapon from the second film in this. We see something that's like a little rotary blade that flies around, which is kind of nice, but we don't see the disc. We see the spear. We know the blaster's there, but the blaster doesn't get used a lot. In fact, it gets used by somebody else initially. The bow is cool, but again, we don't see too much with that one either. But I'm just wondering, like, at what time period does this take place? I think the other cool thing is, and I don't know if it was meant to be a nod to the Predator books I've read, like Prey and all of them, where you have this Asian female character named Noguchi who actually fights alongside a predator against the alien species. Now, we don't see the xenomorph in this, but I wonder if Thea was sort of supposed to be kind of like that, because they end up teaming up, obviously, to help each other along with the little creature, which you'll find out what his purpose is. But yeah, I really enjoyed this far more than I thought I would. And I actually, like I said, I like it more than Prey. So now it's Predator, Predator 2, Badlands, and then Prey. So that's pretty much where I'm at. And I'm glad that at least Badlands is going to have its connection to Prey in some way. So I'm still not a big fan of the Predator or Predators. I know that probably pisses off Goji, but you just have to bear with me, man. Like I don't know. I didn't really care for those films. There's portions of them that I like, the idea on some of them, like the whole like criminal aspect of it. But I felt like in that one, just too many of the criminals died too quick. I wanted to see more of like a cat and mouse thing for a while, to kind of showcase why these guys were as badass as they were. Now, granted, the idea was they didn't have any idea what was happening to them, so that's part of it. But I don't know. I just have some, like, I thought about doing a what if on that, on the Predators, but we'll see what happens. I have to make sure I get people involved that want to talk about and give their own ideas of what they want or how they like it. You know, that's sort of the whole point. But yeah, my voice, man. Overall, my rating out of 10 is a 9.5. This will make my top 10 of the year. It probably won't be really high compared to some of the other films, but it's good enough to make the list. My complaints are very small. Like I thought there was a few corny points with Thea, where she's like trying to get her bottom half to work with her. And even though the scene is cool, there's like this kind of weird like high five they do between her bottom half giving her a foot and she's slapping her foot like she's basically high fiving herself. I just thought that was a little bit too corny. Didn't really need to be there, but it's not enough to really hurt the film. Like I do like Thea's playfulness, I guess. She's a little nerdy because she is an android, but overall, very cool. I enjoyed it. She did a great job of doing the dual roles between Tessa and Thea. So certainly a really good thing. So yeah, give me your thoughts. What do you think about the movie? Have you seen it yet? And Also, no Ghouls of Midnight again. Unfortunately, Mr. Tony the Dead is still ill. I did do some scenes with him last weekend for an upcoming movie, but I guess he got sick again and he's not really feeling that well. So, Mr. Tony, I hope you feel better, brother. And once he's better, we'll get back to the Ghouls of Midnight for the stuff that we've been scheduled to do. I'm sorry for the delay, but he can't help life, and I'm hoping he gets better. Next Sunday, Olvin and I return with Silver Screen Savants. He did do You Only Live Twice with Jedi Grenville last Sunday for Silver Screen Savants, so check it out if you haven't. Tomorrow, I will be doing another Kaiju Spotlight with Nick Arden from the Monster Report. We're going to be focusing on Godzilla 2000. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I haven't done anything with Nick yet. I'm really excited to talk with him. He's a big Kaiju fan as well. So we'll see how that goes. Saturday, going to be with Kevin Lambert. He's doing the Predator franchise. So everything that I've been telling you about on this, we're actually going to sit down with a panel of people, talk about the Predator franchise, how we feel about it. And of course, now that I've seen Badlands, because they did a Badlands review last Saturday, I wasn't there for that, but I'll be giving more input when we talk about the Predator franchise coming up, and it's going to be a lot of fun for sure. So again, thank you for the support. It means a lot. And hit the like and subscribe if you enjoy the video, and we'll see you next time on the Military Radio Podcast.